Our Across the Aisle segment tonight. Last night at Speaker of the House Paul Ryan's town hall on CNN, I don't know if you noticed this, but there was a very strange pattern. Many of the questions asked of the Speaker were framed in a way to insinuate that if the Republican plan were adopted, whether it be Obamacare, immigration reform, or funding to community health centers instead of Planned Parenthood, if the Republican plan is adopted, people will die. No, this is extreme. I don't think people on either side of the aisle want people to die. So why do Democrats frame their narrative like this? Take a look.
I rely on the Affordable Care Act to be able to purchase my own insurance. Why would you repeal the Affordable Care Act without a replacement?
Do you think that I should be deported? And many of families in my situation should.
No.
So my question for you, Speaker Ryan, is if Planned Parenthood is defunded, then where will millions of women, low-income groups, and
it's a good question.
With me now, Democratic strategist and attorney Adam Sostrin. Adam, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Adam, I don't know if you watched this last night. It was very good. I thought Speaker of the House Paul Ryan did a very good job. I even appreciated the questions because he's so capable of answering them. But the pattern of the narrative, Adam, this really bothered me because whether it was Obamacare, whether it was immigration, whether it was that last question about Planned Parenthood, it seems to me like the Democrats are trying to paint all of the GOP positions as you will die if you adopt this position. Why do you hate women? Why do you want people to die? Why do you want families to be broken up? And to me, Adam, it's frankly unreasonable.
Well, I guess the only fair response is that everybody in the country is going to die and all the families are going to break up probably before that happens. But no, of course there are major concerns people have with wanting to repeal and replace the Obamacare. Are they really going to come out with the best solution? For me personally, as an attorney, I actually sort of walk somebody through the process with the Department of Social Services and trying to get them insurance after a major surgery. And fortunately, because of Covered California, which is the exchange here, that person was able to be insured. They don't have to declare bankruptcy. They could have been, and this was basically a life-saving procedure.
Right.
They would have had, over, 6 figures in debt, and of course, that's a big problem in the country.
And that's how it would have been for this gentleman too. And like Speaker Ryan said, I mean, I'm glad he spoke up and asked this question because his situation, perhaps the only answer for him in this situation was Obamacare. But I think the problem here is that it's not sustainable because when you have someone who's coming in with a pre-existing condition like this guy, I mean, the costs were astronomical. I don't even know what it was. It was probably close to $500,000 for his treatment, if not more. If young people, healthy people, aren't signing up for Obamacare, and they're not, we know by the numbers, then it's not a sustainable situation. It's on what Speaker Ryan called a death spiral, where it's simply not going to work monetarily because after a while they're going to run out of money when young, healthy people don't sign up and they have to cover the costs for the sicker people.
Well, I've read different reports on this, and you've probably heard this before, right? Before the passing of the Affordable Care Act, premiums were increasing. Right, and then the criticism of the Affordable Care Act is that the premiums are increasing, but the rate of increase, and I'm sure you've read about this, the rate of increase was actually faster prior to the passing of the Affordable Care Act. That doesn't mean that there aren't issues. That doesn't mean that there aren't problems, of course, associated with rising premiums. But certain things that were missing from what Paul Ryan was saying was the fact that there are state subsidies. And then, one of the things he talked about was the state of Arizona, but the rate of increase for the premiums in Arizona was lower than the rest of the country. Then it was merely, catching up. I've read figures about that.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, though. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Why don't Democrats, the leadership of the Democratic Party in Congress or even just the party leaders, why don't they come out and say exactly what you said? Say, we had a problem with premiums. We tried to fix it with Obamacare. The premiums are still going up, so how do we find a solution? They don't say that, Adam. What they say is, if we try to repeal Obamacare, if we try to replace Obamacare, you and your family are going to die.
Right. Well, of course there shouldn't be scare tactics. And I think we're sort of, with respect to healthcare, we're all in this boat together. We really are. We got to get a system that works. We have to get a system where there's going to be, of course, more. One of the criticisms of Obamacare, of course, is that the fact that there's not enough investment going on for new science, new technology, new medicine to help treat patients. We're sort of lacking that. So there are so many issues, and I really think that this is a chance This is a chance for Trump and for Paul Ryan to get together with the Democrats and come up with something that works, because the Democrats, the reasonable Democrats, obviously agree that there is a problem. We even heard what Bill Clinton said.
Right.
It doesn't make sense in so many circumstances.
Right, and more importantly, I think the American people feel the way that you just said, regardless of their political stripe here. And then we have President Obama saying, saying to congressional Democrats, don't work with the GOP here. They're just going to make it worse, so don't even bother sitting down with them. I mean, I understand why Democrats within their own party rejected their party leadership, why they voted him out, why they changed their vote to Trump, why they voted for Republicans in their district for Congress, because this is not any kind of bipartisan example to be setting. I mean, they just refuse to look for a solution when the everyday American people are hurting.
Well, as far as the voting is concerned, I feel like Trump's sort of been on both sides of this issue, right? Before he's just let's just get rid of Obamacare, right? And then he changes his mind as he realizes all the important issues that Obama had to address. It's so important right now that we have coverage for people with pre-existing conditions. Finally, Trump catches up. I think we've talked about this before. He shoots from the hip. He has no idea. He makes a statement.
But that's never been in question, though. That's another thing. Democrats are talking about, or acting like, I should say, that Republicans want to do away with the provision to cover people with pre-existing conditions. That's never even been on the table.
Well, what was on the table were statements from Trump with respect to repealing Obamacare. It wasn't until later in the process that we learned from Trump that his idea was no, keep people, make sure that dependents who are people that are 26.
That's always been on the table too. Those are the two things that Republicans agreed with Democrats. Republicans have never, in any of the plans that they presented, wanted to do away with those two provisions. What they want to do away with is the mandate. What they want to do away with is the system where it's on the backs of young, healthy people. They just want to increase competition, not take away coverage from other people. They want to make it affordable and accessible.
I think we can say a lot of those things now, of course, but we're constantly hearing different things from the president-elect now than what we were hearing before. I think, of course, I agree with you, Democrats and Republicans, we can get behind the fact that if you're 26 years of age or younger, or if you have a pre-existing condition, there's got to be coverage for you. We can agree with those things. I think there's going to be some sort of solution that we're going to be able to devise. I do. I have some faith in Paul Ryan, the policy wonk, being able to work with the Democrats to come up with something that works. We all agree that premiums are going up, but what can we do about it? But we have to be honest about the discussions, because premiums are rising at a faster rate prior to the passing of the Affordable Care Act. So I'm with you. I want something to work. We all want something to work.
Right,
And
maybe they should hire us to negotiate this, because look at this. We just had a great conversation about what solutions we could have, and you didn't accuse me, I didn't accuse you of wanting people to die if you didn't adopt our solution.
I'm going to accuse you after this segment. We're going to do that afterwards.
Oh, well, we'll just keep the tape rolling then.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, Adam, we have to go, but thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, our final